looking for a 15-10. Let's attack the pawn as usual. Let's hit the center. Want to practice the art of patience. Playing on my phone at the moment. My computer's died, so getting a new one. Something to do with the drive being corrupted. So looking to be back fully functioning for the new year. So practicing the art of patience. Underneath the art of patience, we've got all of the recent things that we've learned from the over-the-board tournaments in the Rapidplay and also in the open standard long play chess games as well. So very interesting journey so far, and we're looking to just pull all that together within the mantra that we have got, and it's not to forget any of the original mantra, because what seems to have happened in some of the recent games I've been playing, I've been ignoring the mantra in its fullest state and just really completely focusing on the new stuff and not really using it in the correct order. So the original mantra is the good basis for making those decisions for the moves. The new stuff, obviously we're just practicing because it's new, but it does tend to override the common sense aspect of the mantra stuff. Simple things like knights hunt the bishops in our mantra most of the time, yeah, if it's safe and beneficial for us to do so. So that's a very small thing, but at the same time, it's that element of, well, that should help your decision in the process, whereas little things like the mistake to take type things, let's take here. I think they're thinking the pawn can't take because it's got the x-ray through with the bishop. And yeah, so it's just those small things there. When you're practicing something new, it will take over sometimes your original thought process, and that can mess up the game. I'm going to put a check on. I know it's moving it twice, but I don't care. Let's make some space for castling. Yeah, so just because it's new stuff doesn't mean it overrides any of the older experience stuff that you've been dealing with, because those experiences have made you what you are at this moment in time. Queen's just going to get chased around a little bit, isn't it? So I think what we'll do is just move it here, attacking the pawn at the side of the king to try and give them something to think about. So I feel a lot happier now that I understand that that's what was going on, when I've done the analysis afterwards and I've gone, why did I make that move? Why did I not just take that bishop off the board with the knight? That is what we would do in our mantra, if it's beneficial to us, you know. And the calculation didn't focus on that, it focused on the new stuff. And we kind of lost tempo in those types of games. We gained advantage later on type thing in most of them, but it's just looking at it thinking, well, you probably didn't have to work so hard if you just kept with the mantra. So the pawn's hitting, may as well just capture. So they're not scared now of the bishop and the queen attacking the f7 pawn. Alright, so he's captured back, he's just blocked us. I think we will... He's attacking our queen as well, by the way. So I'll just put a check on just to let him know we're still here. Could have brought it down, but his pawn would have just supported. So he's now brought the knight back again. Thought the bishop was probably going to come out, but maybe it's because we had a 2-on-1 on it. Anything else before we go and castle? I think we'll castle. Think we will castle. So he's got our knight through the queen. We've got his pawn, we're on his rook, but it's a dangerous kind of situation because his rook can just attack the queen. But we will take the pawn. Potentially looking to x-ray our rook through to his king, pinning the knight to the king. All depends what the opponent does, because they'll give us something to think about. Maybe the queen goes for the exchange, but I'm assuming the rook's going to attack the queen. So I think the worst thing to do as well is try and force any new stuff that you're working on, especially for myself, trying to force a position whereby you can practice the new stuff. And it's a human trait, isn't it? Oh yeah, I noticed this quite often in quite a lot of the games I've played, so I want to try and make it work. So you try and force the situation, which then makes you ignore your current tried and tested experiences within your mantra. And that's why they're there. Opponent's in a deep think. We've got 2 pieces still on the back. Okay, so he's moved. Rook can put the check on. The bishop's just going to come out and save itself. And the queen's not really got anywhere to go. So it looks like they've gone for a deep think on this one. But we will go for the obvious. Check on the king first. Does allow their bishop to actually come back in. Our queen can't come and put a 2-on-1 on the bishop. We could attack their bishop. He just drops the pawn down with our bishop. So it gives us things to think about. We could attack their pawn, but the knight will take. So their position doesn't look too bad at all. Could put a check on the king, give them something to think about with the bishop, which kind of stops them from castling. Could bring the queen down as well with the check. And would also be hitting the bishop, but the bishop will just go back and attack the queen. So let's get the bishops off the board, because the bishop will come back and defend. Oh, the bishop. Oh, sorry, the dark square bishop can't move. I thought for a second there, I thought, no, the white square bishop can't. But no, the white square bishop can. Oh, he's not done that. He's not done that. It's not done that, so we didn't plan on a follow-up, did we, per se? We did think that we're going to move, yeah. But thought the bishop was coming back. And try and get the dark square bishop out, but it don't really look like it's got any nice place to go. No, the knight. Let's get the knight out. So we've prevented castling because the opponent's not brought the bishop back. They haven't gone for the exchange. So they've only got 1 rook so far that is going to be playing in the game. But we've got our dark square bishop stuck on the back, and it doesn't really have a proper place to sit other than in front of our own rook, which is trying to own this e-file. Just need to get it out. So I think it is going to just go and block our own rook by going onto the e3 and then get this rook facing their queen to put some pressure on. Okay, let's just move the bishop like we said, because there's no safe squares for it. Just move it to here. Just put a 2-on-1 on the pawn in the corner on a7 as well. But our focal point is on just touching on the queen with the rooks, if we can. Obviously the dark square bishop can double our pawns by taking the knight. So a lot of things happening, just trying to see if we can take advantage of any particular weaknesses, which is the fact that their king hasn't castled, and their other rook is not really in the game. Now he's attacking our queen. It's not trapped, is it? No. We can move the queen to the side, or we can bring the rook like we said, x-raying through to there, queen, bishop takes, rook takes. That's not a very good exchange though, is it? So I've got to bring the queen here. And then hopefully x-ray through the rook through to their queen via the bishop, if they allow us. Because they may keep on giving us things to think about. Well, it's there, doubling pawns, or the queen takes, puts a check on the king. I think that's probably better. So the king's not jammed in because the knight's going to come and defend. And then I suppose we can bring our bishop onto c5, x-raying through to the king, put a bit more pressure on. Or the king just moves a little bit further on and ignores all of that. Yeah, so he's probably going king g8 then, seeing as he moved it last time. Yeah, so he's moving it, so he's not wanting any doubles on his knight. So I'm going to continue with the x-ray through to the queen with the rook. And they're probably going to push this c pawn onto our bishop just to support the bishop. So pretty detailed if you're looking at it in terms of position, because it's not clear, but their king is in a very precarious situation. I think the knight's been moved because he wants to make space for his king, so his king can come up, get the rook out of there, then go back down again, that type of thing. Is there anything we can do to kind of make them not be able to do that? The bishop could actually go and sit on d4 with a diagonal. But I think we're just going to hit the bishop. Well, he's actually got a 2-on-1 as well with the knight on the g-pawn. So that's probably why they've done it. But it's not a check on the king, so I'm going to continue with hitting the bishop with the pawn. Because we have the x-ray through with the rook onto the queen. So yes, probably have to deal with a bit of phone quality type gameplay, just for a short period. It might not take long. So they have gone for it anyway, so we will hit the queen. I'm not seeing any fancy tactic type thing. The only thing I was thinking was the queen was going to come to g5, but bishop's protecting there. Now the rook is protecting there as well, so we're not seeing that going to happen anytime soon, I don't think, really. Positionally, feels like it looks okay now for us, especially with the king to g8 type maneuver. And they're not caring anymore, so we will just take. So it doesn't mean we've won anything because it looks like they're playing very confidently. Shall we see where we want to go? I'm going to bring the queen here, attacking the knight. Oh, they've got something sewn up. Interesting. So his knight can put go to d3 and they'll get our queen. Ooh, interesting. They'll get our queen with a check. Gonna have to move the queen. It's not got a mate, has it? No, it's not a mate. So I'm gonna move the queen. So he'll get a check of some sort, probably get a pawn, or I don't think there's a bishop. Maybe, no. Yeah, he could get the bishop. Yeah, so going to c2 with the check on the king. King moves, he takes the bishop, but we get a checkmate type thing. So he doesn't want the checkmate, so he's making space. Our white square bishop is kind of blocked at the minute. So we put the check on just as a, and then we can come back down. His rook is on a white square. Just put the check, then bounce back again, or he's just going to drop the pawn. So it's these types of situations. We liked our position and everything, but suddenly they've come round. Looks like they've got a confusing state for us. I'm trying to avoid my queen getting a check on with his knight moving because he's got the rook check. Could push the pawn just to move the king out of the way. But I'm plumping more for trying to get this bishop, white square bishop, onto a diagonal to stop the king from coming back around again. Then it would be a mate. But their rook is blocking that area. So they must be getting tired now. They must be wanting to show off that they've got this check. So the knight's going to be moving, and then we can just move the king out of the way. Doesn't have a check on our queen, so that's a good thing. Like we said, it could go for the dark square bishop, but I'm not fussed about that because the bishop is protected. So this is the art of patience, not rushing it, looking at the situation, looking at what the opponent can do, because even these types of positions can be lost. He's going for it. So let's go. Does he get our queen? That's the key thing. There's only one space I can go, really, isn't there? Yeah. Bishop could come down and block as well. So if I move up, and then this knight moves somewhere, puts another check on, we move up. He's not got my queen, but he can go, but the bishop will take him. If we move up, his rook can come across the bottom with a check. And then the king can't move, so it would be a checkmate. Oh. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, his rook comes across the bottom. My king, oh, it can go here. It can go there. All right, let's go here. It can go to h3. I was just saying here, like in these endgame type things, is that patience, because you think you've got something, it looks like it's just going for repetition, which is good. You think you've got something, but then suddenly they creep in with a weird sort of position with, say, the rooks and the knights or whatever, and somehow you end up getting mated. So we can move to h3 because there's no further checks on the king from that point on. And he's not got any checks on my... Yep, so we're going to just move to the h3. Taking time. There's no rush. We've got 11 minutes. They've got 8 minutes. utilising the mantra, the experience that we've had over the years, hopefully selecting the right manoeuvres, definitely trying to keep away from any knight manoeuvres that put checks on our king and our queen. White square bishop's got no protection, B pawn's got no protection, C pawn got protection, and A pawn's got no protection. There's three pieces that don't really have any protection, but their king is in a very strange position. It's not a very good position. But how can we take advantage of it? Because it's just got a repetition type maneuverability, which we don't want. Their rook is on a white square, so we could put a check on, but then we can't get our bishop to actually keep putting checks on there. So they're still playing on, and they've got some sort of maybe mating position with their knight and their rook. We have to be very careful, because we could go for a draw in this game, because we'll just move the queen up and down, putting checks on the king. But we don't want to do that. Right, do we have the answer? As a thinking thing, let's just put the check on and then take the pawn with the queen this time, the F pawn, I believe. So taking the F pawn puts the queen in a different position, does open up his rook though, so he'll be able to link his rooks up, but we should be able to put some pressure on. So I'm going to take the pawn this time. We should be able to put some pressure on the king now, even if he does activate his other rook. Because now this pawn in front of the king, the queen can take. The king can't defend. So I think this is hopefully building up, but it's nice that the opponent's still playing on. So we'll put the check on, capturing. And now take time, because we don't need to rush. The bishop can put a check on the king. Dark square bishop again is blocked by our own pawn, so we can't then do a step ladder with the bishops. But we can do a checkmate with the queen. So only space it can go is f8, so the queen can go to f7, and that's checkmate with the support from the bishop. Whew. That's the art of patience. Doing that long-term type thinking. It's not too long-term, it's just looking at the position on the board, looking at the scary moments, especially in the game where they've come back down, they're attacking. It looks like they've got some sort of mate potential with their knight and their rook type thing. But in the early part of the game, it's really setting that boundary to say, well, okay, do we stop this king from actually castling? And the opponent took the other option of just moving the king rather than blocking with their pieces, maybe believing they were going to lose tempo because those pieces would get compound attacks put on them. But that loses them position on the board. Does look like they have left the game. It says you can claim victory in 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we'll claim victory on that. So yeah, very smooth game. Quite enjoyed that. And positional play from the start, looking at the potential weaknesses of the opponent's pieces as best possible, and then trying to work the pieces together and give a bit of a target for our pieces as best possible, and maintaining a strategy, a holistic strategy of what we wanted to do on the board, where we were looking to target, where we were planning to maneuver our pieces. Hopefully the opponent would react in certain ways, but the opponent didn't react in the ways we wanted to, but it did improve our position on the board, and it did make their position worse because they didn't do what we thought they were going to do. So that improved our calculation, but at the same time it made us very wary, especially when the rook and the knight were then suddenly teaming up, working on the, the end part of the game. But again, rationalising the position that we had, luckily we had a safe space for the king, and then we could develop our pieces, working as a team, targeting the king to make them feel more comfortable. And if it was a quicker game, we probably would have gone for a draw, because we would have just been going with the queen up and down, putting checks on the king. But longer game can take that moment's time to have a look and see what else can you actually do